Join me as I dive deep into the 10 shocking reasons why poor people stay poor, and let's see if I can change my own perspective by the end of this video. When we think about poverty, we often assume that it's a personal failing or a lack of effort. We might think that if someone just worked harder, they could lift themselves out of poverty. But the truth is, poverty is a complex issue with many underlying factors that can keep people trapped. Today, we're going to explore some of the most surprising reasons why poor people often stay poor, and it might just change the way you think about this issue. Systemic inequality and lack of access to resources are major contributors to persistent poverty. When communities are underserved, they lack the infrastructure and support systems that help people get ahead. This can include limited access to quality education, health care, and job opportunities. These structural barriers make it difficult for people to break the cycle of poverty, even when they're working hard to improve their circumstances. Furthermore, poverty can be perpetuated by discriminatory practices such as redlining, which has historically denied people of color access to affordable housing and economic opportunities. The consequences of these policies can be seen in the stark racial and socioeconomic disparities that persist today. Additionally, the widening wealth gap and stagnant wages have made it increasingly difficult for people to save and invest, even when they're employed full-time. As the cost of living continues to rise, it's becoming even harder for people to make ends meet. These societal and economic factors set the stage for the 10 reasons we're about to explore. From lack of access to financial education to the psychological toll of scarcity, we'll dive into the specific barriers that prevent people from achieving financial stability. The first reason is the lack of access to financial education. Many people are never taught how to manage their finances, invest, or plan for the future. This lack of knowledge can lead to costly mistakes, such as accumulating high-interest debt or failing to take advantage of tax-advantaged savings opportunities. The second reason is the expense of being poor. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're often forced to rely on expensive services like payday lenders or check cashing stores. These services can charge exorbitant fees, further entrenching people in poverty. The third reason is the psychological toll of scarcity. When you're constantly worried about making ends meet, it can be difficult to think about the future or make long-term plans. This mindset can lead to a perpetual cycle of poverty as people become more focused on short-term survival than long-term success. One of the most surprising reasons why poor people stay poor is the way our brains respond to scarcity. Research has shown that when people are under intense financial stress, their brains actually shrink, reducing their ability to think clearly and make rational decisions. This can lead to a vicious cycle of poverty as people become more prone to making impulsive decisions that further entrench them in poverty. Another reason is the lack of access to social connections. When you're poor, you may not have the same social networks as people who are more affluent. This can limit your access to job opportunities, mentorship, and other resources that can help you get ahead. The fourth reason is the high cost of health care. In many countries, health care is a luxury that only the affluent can afford. This means that people who are poor may be forced to go without medical treatment, further reducing their chances of escaping poverty. The final reason that really stood out to me is the way we perceive time. When you're poor, it's difficult to think about the future because you're so focused on surviving in the present. This can lead to a lack of investment in education, skills training, or other activities that could lead to long-term success. It's a classic case of being too busy fighting alligators to drain the swamp. The fifth reason is the lack of access to credit. When you're poor, you may not have a credit score, making it difficult to access affordable loans or credit. This can further limit your ability to invest in assets such as a home or education that could help you build wealth. The sixth reason is the psychological impact of poverty on children. When children grow up in poverty, they're more likely to experience toxic stress, which can affect their cognitive development and long-term earning potential. The seventh reason is the role of institutional racism. Discriminatory practices such as racial profiling and redlining have historically denied people of color access to affordable housing, education, and job opportunities. This has led to a persistent racial wealth gap that continues to this day. The eighth reason is the lack of access to affordable housing. When housing costs are high, it can be difficult for people to save money or invest in other assets. The ninth reason is the psychological impact of poverty on mental health. When you're constantly stressed about making ends meet, it can take a toll on your mental health, leading to depression, anxiety, and other disorders. The 10th reason is the way poverty affects our relationships. When you're poor, you may be more likely to experience social isolation, which can further entrench you in poverty. The most surprising or counterintuitive reason for me was the way our brains respond to scarcity. It's amazing how our brain's ability to make rational decisions can be affected by financial stress. It's a powerful reminder that poverty is not just a personal failing, but a complex issue that requires a nuanced understanding of the underlying factors. In conclusion, poverty is a complex issue that's driven by a multitude of factors. By understanding these factors, we can work towards creating a more equitable society where everyone has access to the resources they need to thrive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. If you liked this video, be sure to subscribe for more content related to financial education and personal development. Let me know in the comments what you think about these reasons and what you've learned from this video. And don't forget to check out my other videos on financial literacy and wealth building strategies.